This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we're hearing the case of the most missingest man in America, New York State Supreme Court Judge Joseph F. Crater.
It's not a contest, though, right? You know, anyone who's missing is missing.
Well, this is something that the newspapers dubbed him as the most missingest man in America. You'll see that
Sensationalism.
Well, you'll see that people had some fun with this one.
Well, I'm fascinated to know what makes someone more missing than someone else. I'm excited to find out.
Let's get into it. Joseph Force Crater was born on January 5th, 1889, in Pennsylvania, less than 100 miles from New York City. Crater was a dapper dresser and a hard worker, attending Lafayette College for his undergraduate education and eventually Columbia Law, where he met his future wife, Stella Wheeler. Stella was married when she met Crater, but the young lawyer helped her with her divorce, and the two married in 1917.
To have research officially show that he's a dapper man?
Yeah.
Not a bad situation. You think this guy was one of those fucking bow tie dudes who are like, Doctor Who is cool. Bow ties are cool.
Okay, I find that quite rich when you yourself are wearing...
I've never worn a bow tie.
You're wearing a pinstriped shirt with a little...
I dress like an ice cream man.
That's a clothing rose. So I just think it's rich that you're saying, oh,
50
who's your
cents.
fucking bow tie dude? Now watch and listen to my quartet.
I will never wear a bow tie. That is a Shane Madej guarantee.
Crater worked as a law clerk and taught at various colleges around New York. Eventually, landing a job as a secretary for New York Supreme Court Justice Robert Wagner. Crater began practicing law at his firm when Wagner was elected to the U.S. Senate, becoming somewhat of a protege under the politician.
I mean, you get working for a rich white man, you're probably fine.
That you become a rich white man,
Yeah,
I suppose.
yeah.
That's how it works.
You know, they'll be pulling their strings, doing their bullshit.
If you choose to spend your career next to a non-rich white guy,
Oh,
what does that make me?
boy, did you blow it.
I did blow it. I hitched my my line to the wrong ship here.
You sure did.
He's gonna pull me right into an iceberg. Crater went on to become rather wealthy as a lawyer. In 1927, he bought an apartment on Fifth Avenue as a gift for Stella, and the couple also enjoyed a summer home in Belgrade Lakes, Maine. Crater's ambitions, however, weren't strictly financial, and the young attorney made quite a name for himself in politics. In April 1930, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, then the governor of New York, appointed Crater to the New York Supreme Court. While the Great Depression was strangling much of the nation, Crater was earning $25,000 a year, more than $375,000 in 2021 dollars. Worth mentioning too, by the way, the apartment he bought on Fifth Avenue, which is prime time.
Yeah.
He bought that as a gift for his, I guess, wife at that point.
I'm excited for this guy to go missing. I don't like him.
On August 2nd, 1930, only a few months after his appointment to the state Supreme Court, Crater and his wife arrived at their Maine vacation home. There, Crater took several phone calls that Stella said angered him. Crater had to return to New York City for business the next day, but he told his wife he'd be back in Maine by August 9th, her birthday. Crater spent the night of August 4th at the Fifth Avenue apartment and informed the maid he'd be heading back to Maine on the 7th. Crater went to his office on August 5th and again on August 6th. At one point on the 6th, he sent his secretary to the bank to withdraw $5,150, the equivalent of more than $80,000 today. $80,000 any day of the week. That's a lot of money to walk.
It's hard to say because rich scumbags operate differently. Maybe he's going to go buy a yacht in cash.
Yeah,
Who knows?
or 50,000 hot dogs.
Yeah.
Those come right. Around about $1.50.
I don't know. I don't know hot dog math.
You could have fooled me.
Thank you. I think. Good, right?
No.
Oh.
It's suspicious, nonetheless. He's obviously up to maybe something not great. The judge later returned to his apartment and dismissed the maid. telling her he was going swimming. Stella would later find this detail odd, as Crater reportedly did not enjoy swimming. Now, what do you think of that, by the way? I always think this is funny when these cases happen. There's usually something where there's a detail and people will be like, hey, that person never liked I Love Lucy. It's weird that they were watching I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
You don't know everything about your partner's life.
I mean, but admittedly, it is weird to be like, go away. I want to swim.
But you do that all the time.
I don't do that.
You love pools.
I love pools, but I want people to be there with me. If I was this guy, I'd be like, Beverly, I'm thinking of taking a dip. How about you hop in with me?
Jesus Christ. That evening, Crater visited his friend and ticket broker, Joseph Gansky, who arranged for Crater to attend the Broadway show Dancing Partner. Despite the fact that the show had only opened the previous night, some reports claim the judge had actually already seen it. In either event, Crater then made his way on foot to Billy Haas Chop House in the theater district on West 45th Street. There, Crater dined with attorney William Klein and showgirl Sally Lou Ritz. Around 9:15 p.m., the trio left the restaurant. Crater reportedly got in a taxi, presumably to get to Dancing Partner, and was never seen again.
So he's gone.
He's gone. He's missing.
Out of here.
He's gone. I could take solace in the fact that maybe he didn't get to the show, maybe, but my guy did have a delicious steak.
That's true.
At Billy,
that's something.
I don't know this place, Billy Haas's Chop House.
That sounds like a good place to have a fat ass steak.
Exactly. I'm telling you that I would enjoy it. Right now, without even seeing the menu, I'm going in there, I'm ordering the ribeye. I'm telling them, give me the biggest slab of meat that you can possibly fit on a plate.
Oh, shit. I'm actually,
immediately.
Even if he didn't make it to the show, going and getting a big ass steak. Okay, right? Then after dinner, you have like a cocktail or two.
Holy shit.
Is there anything better in the world than having a few cocktails, then having a dinner, then maybe a nice cup of coffee afterwards to settle the stomach, which I don't think it does.
I don't think it does. Yeah, I was about to say.
You're nice and full, you're a little loopy.
Yeah.
That's the time to disappear yourself.
That's true.
Take me out.
Full and tipsy. That's how I want to go out.
Yeah.
Though Judge Crater was last seen on August 6th, it wasn't until weeks later that people began to worry about the missing man. When her husband didn't show up in Maine on August 7th, Stella sent the chauffeur to New York to look for him. In the city, the maid told the chauffeur that the judge was bound to show up sooner or later, and that he'd make his way to Maine when he did. Meanwhile, the days ticked away. Stella assumed Crater was working, while his colleagues assumed he was in Maine with Stella. This would be a very boring episode of The Last 48, which you know is when someone goes missing, that chronicles the 48 hours after they're pronounced missing. His would just be Stella smoking a cigarette in the house.
Yeah, drinking a martini in Maine.
His business partner's going, hey, 2 days off.
Yeah, dilly dilly.
Meanwhile, he's just floating face down in a pool.
At the same time, however, should be noted that it's pretty hard to jump to the conclusion that a person you know and love has vanished.
Especially when this guy seems to be a force of nature.
If you haven't heard from someone in a couple days, you're not like, oh, they must be gone forever. They must have been wiped off the face of the earth.
That's true. Fair. Eventually, someone realized Crater was missing. On September 3rd, almost a month after he was last seen,
A month?
Crater's disappearance was announced to the public.
Oh, he's
The next
dead,
day,
dead.
a missing persons report was filed with the NYPD, and his vanishing became a nationwide story. When someone didn't show up for something, people would say they, quote, pulled a Crater.
I have Butterfinger on my phone.
End quote. Now here we're getting into the point where obviously people are
I'm gonna clean up my phone real quick.
We're having a little bit of fun with this.
Well, that's all you could do. Someone goes missing, you have a little fun with it.
Yeah. What would be the equivalent of pulling a Shane? You know?
Maybe like taking a nap in the shower.
That, or being a D-bag,
Why would you take a nap in the shower?
having trouble fitting through doors.
What would
head.
Bergara be? Sort of shitting your pants in Thailand?
It was Singapore.
Oh, sorry.
And maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Dead bodies found in hotel rooms were checked by police for resemblance to Crater. Nearly 100 witnesses were called in a grand jury inquiry regarding his disappearance. In January 1931, the grand jury reached the only conclusion they could. They had no idea what happened to the judge.
Yeah,
It
obviously.
never occurred to me how many bodies they find in hotel rooms.
I'm sure a lot.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be fun to work at a hotel, and I do stand by that. But I think it would be sort of a bummer to,
Yeah, be a
find dead bodies all the time.
maybe
Yeah.
walk into a room to clean it, expecting maybe this person left me a tip.
Zach, and you
Well, that's
don't
a
even
dead
clean
guy.
the
Hey, what
sheets.
stinks? Oh, another one.
Yeah.
Is it the famed vanished millionaire? No.
With Joseph Crater missing and a grand jury unable to come up with any conclusions, it's time for us to judge some theories. Our first theory is that Crater ran away from his life to start a new one. Crater was well connected in the world of New York Democratic politics during a time when such ties could have been a liability. In particular, investigations into political corruption in the city were heating up, especially surrounding Tammany Hall, the notorious political organization that first became
got a
synonymous
second-
with
we got a
corruption
second one
in the
going on right
19th
now.
century due to its use of boss rule. Some think Crater may have fled to avoid testifying against those who helped him throughout his career. Some also suggest Crater may have been buying and selling judgeships, perhaps even his own, on the New York Supreme Court. This claim was even made publicly by a Republican candidate for governor. If such accusations were true, and the judge feared investigation surrounding Tammany Hall would expose him, then perhaps Crater decided to run instead of defend himself.
Coward.
Crater may have also fled his old life to start a new one with a mistress. The investigation
Sketchy
into his
baka.
disappearance turned up a rotation of beautiful girls he'd regularly socialized
You
with,
man slut.
and he was known to have a fondness for showgirls. Crater's appetite for dancing and reputation as an enthusiastic womanizer led to the nickname of Good Time Joe.
Now that's a good name. I loved that he had an appetite for dancing.
I think he had an appetite for other things as well.
Pussy.
Sex with strange women.
Oh, okay, I was going to say steak.
Oh, steak as
and
well.
sex with weird women.
Yes, yeah.
Furthering this theory, in the years after his disappearance, there was no shortage of alleged sightings of the judge. In 1936, a gold prospector named Lucky Blackiette went to the LAPD to report having met Crater near the gold rush town of Julian, California. According to Lucky, the man admitted to being the missing Supreme Court judge and said, quote, "In one more year, I will be legally dead. I hope I can stick it out that long," end quote. Lucky's tip was actually supported by another report received by the LAPD's Missing Persons Bureau 5 years prior of a sighting just 60 miles from Julian. Local authorities, along with New York detectives, began a search. In their investigation, police spoke with multiple people who recognized Crater's photo. One storekeeper remembered the man buying $5 worth of food, while another person said the man in the picture seemed to be well educated but sucked at mining. Needless to say, Crater was not found. Our leading story tonight, Joseph F. Crater, still missing. Now, for a lead in the case, we go to Julian, California to talk to a prospector.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him out there in the hills. I was out there panning in the creek, and I've seen a millionaire.
Perhaps the biggest piece of evidence supporting the idea that Crater intentionally abandoned his old life was the large amount of money withdrawn from the bank on the day of his disappearance. It was later reported, however, that Stella found the money he'd withdrawn.
Oh,
meaning, if he'd actually started...
I was gonna guess someone saw the money and murdered him before he could run away. The money.
A new life, he did so without the $5,150.
I buy him giving it all up.
I don't. I just don't.
Maybe he was tired. Maybe he was like, oh,
Yeah,
boy.
we all know the best thing to do when you're tired is go, why don't I spend 24 hours in a mine? My back sure hurts. Maybe swinging this pickaxe will wake me.
No. I'm not talking about tired physically. I mean tired.
Mentally tired,
the
yes.
glitz and glamour.
I got the scratchies again. Every 7 minutes, this thing gets the scratchies.
You know, he's living this fly by the seat of his pants life with all these show gals, and he's keeping up appearances with his wife, who he clearly doesn't give a shit about.
Can you imagine, though, like, he doesn't actually change his, like, wardrobe. He's just out there in a $3,000 suit, kneeled down by a river, panning, just carrying
Got
the
a top hat and tails, spats on.
Just completely cracked. Just lost his mind.
An opera cloak. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm here to pan for gold.
I hope we find a skeleton somewhere in a suit.
Now, where's the gold? I have my pan. I'm ready to scoop it up.
Our next theory is one posited by author and journalist Richard J. Toffel, that Crater's body was disposed of after he died of natural causes.
Like an aneurysm?
To begin, Toffel believes one part of the story everyone was told, that Crater got into a cab after dinner, is incorrect. Toffel examined the testimony of Crater's 2 companions that night and found that they both reported getting into a cab while Crater set off down the street on foot. Bolstering this allegation is the fact that Dancing Partner, the show he had a ticket for, was only a 10-minute walk away from the restaurant. Toffel believes that
Well, how about
after
some foot
catching
traffic?
the second half of the show, Crater may have made his way to a nightclub and then eventually wound up at a brothel operated by famous Madam Polly Adler. Toffel suggests that while soliciting service from the venue, Crater died of natural causes.
That's
Toffel
not a
claims an
spaghetti-o.
early draft of Adler's memoir is said to specifically mention Crater's death and the subsequent removal of his body by one of Adler's mobster friends. Unfortunately, no copies of this early draft have been found.
Sure sounds like a real story by an author who was writing a book on the case.
A fictional one.
There's this lady, she had an early draft of a book that says what I'm saying is true. Don't know where the book is, though.
I'm not going to knock the guy for taking a cab for instead of a 10-minute walk, because if you just stuffed yourself with a fat-ass steak.
No, you
Yeah.
gotta walk that bad boy off, otherwise that thing is just...
Oh, no, I'm saying get in the cab. I'm not walking anywhere. Wheel me to my next
Oh, no,
destination.
you gotta
please.
walk
Sit
that
me
off.
down at the
Well, hey, he's got to rest and digest. Then he can walk it off.
show.
You can't have that slab of meat just sitting in your stomach, wreaking havoc on your insides.
But I want
You gotta
it to
walk
do.
it off.
No, disagree.
Oh,
We
I-
disagree on this.
You want to sit...
He's a millionaire. You put him in a cab. He wants to take a cab.
Yeah,
You think he wants to walk his ass down the street?
Yeah, millionaires poop too. You think you want to sit through a 2-hour play with a turd rocket working its way through your intestines?
Sorry.
I just
Not
think
that
after a good
fast.
dinner, nice to go for a little car ride.
And I think it's nice to go for a little stroll.
Depends on the meal.
I guess this one will remain unsolved.
Because if I just had soup, I'm going to rest and digest.
Then.
Our last theory is that Judge Crater was murdered. According to NYPD historian John Podracki, this is the semi-official consensus. Some posit that far from being afraid to testify about Tammany Hall, Crater was prepared to expose the corruption and that the mob silenced him before he had the opportunity. At the time of her husband's disappearance, and reasserted in an interview 25 years later, Stella Crater believed the judge had been kidnapped and murdered. Stella's quoted as saying, quote, "Joe Crater would not run away from anything or anybody," end quote.
Disagree. Think if his life was
What if someone was like driving and they accidentally hit him and killed him, and then they got rid of the body?
on the line, he'd probably run away.
Or he wouldn't and then shoot him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually like high praise coming from your wife too. Like I imagine that if you got killed, I don't think a quote saying Shane Madej wouldn't run from anybody or anyone.
I'll run from anybody.
Exactly. That's the quote that would come out.
I'm a coward, man. You know, people generally point out the fact that I'm not afraid of ghosts, but that's
Yeah.
because I don't believe in them.
That's true. He does believe he's
If I
talking
believed
to
in
air.
ghosts, I would run out of every building we've ever been in. I'm a scaredy cat.
And I stay in them.
He does. Brave little boy.
I do. I stay in that hot water.
Yeah.
Make it my personal hot tub. And I sit there and I relax like this.
You don't relax.
And I go fucking
You breathe real fast, and you look like you're going to pass
Someone
out.
get me a brewski because I'm making this place my home.
Never do that.
Yeah,
Some
mixing,
claim that
mixing
one of
beer
his
without-
mistresses could have had a
hot tub
boyfriend
sounds
with
like a bad
ties to
idea.
the mob, or that Crater was being blackmailed by a showgirl who had her boyfriend kill the judge.
Uh-oh.
The grand jury into his disappearance brought up some possible connections to nefarious dealings, but as noted before, none of these links were strong enough to conclude anything. In 2005, 75 years after Crater went missing, Stella Ferrucci Good of Belrose, Queens, no relation to Stella Crater, died at the age of 91. In her safety deposit box, her family found an envelope that read, "Do not open until my death."
Cool.
Oh, this is
Where do you think we're
juicy.
going with this?
I don't know, and so I am.
Excuse me.
I love this. This thread comes up often in these cases. There's usually an envelope that says "Do not open until my death." I'm also going to do this myself, and it is going to contain the dumbest things ever put on paper
Is it
inside.
going to be
of
that drawing of you with 3 butt cheeks?
Inside were notes that claimed Ferrucci Good's husband, Robert Good, who had died in 1975, knew what had happened to Judge Crater. The note said that over drinks with her husband one night, taxi driver Frank Burns claimed to have been driving the cab Crater got into after dinner. Burns reportedly drove a few blocks before 2 accomplices jumped into the car with him. The taxi driver took the judge to Coney Island, where Crater was murdered and buried under the boardwalk. While no motivation was given in the notes, a specific location was. By the time the letter was discovered, however, the New York Aquarium had been constructed
Wait, wouldn't they have
over
found
that
the
section
body?
of the boardwalk.
I'm not buying it.
Wouldn't they have been like to make the foundation for the aquarium found a skeleton or something? I'm
That's
not buying this
cartoonish.
either.
That's too cartoonish. That's too fanciful.
What if they lied to
Buried
her?
underneath the aquarium at Coney Island. Get out of here.
I do love the idea of a treasure map that leads to an old man's bones.
Yeah, this is some Goonie ass shit. I don't want this Goonie shit.
You thought you were gonna find treasure? Here's a skeleton.
Yeah, that's no fun. I'm not buying it. You know, I got a sense for these things. And this one ain't passing the sniff
Well, you
test.
just farted. That's all that happened.
Oh, beefy.
It said that until her death, every year on August 6th, Stella Crater would visit a bar in Greenwich Village in New York City and order 2 drinks. Before downing one of the drinks, Stella would reportedly toast to her missing husband,
So
saying,
what happened to the second
quote,
drink?
"Good luck, Joe, wherever you are," end quote. Then leave the other drink at the bar.
Still can't forgive her for leaving a little smoke wagon there on the bar. You know what I'm
That's a
talking
crime.
Hey, someone got a free drink.
about? Yeah, leaving
That's an absolute
a
crime.
full glass of whiskey.
If I were sitting next to her and she was like, "This one's for my missing husband. Good luck wherever you are." She collected her things, teary-eyed. Yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'd wait for that bell on the door. I'd be like,
Yeah, the second.
Yeah, that
Then you
probably
smash
happened more
the
than
glass
you
on the ground
think.
like Thor.
Wealthy, Powerful and well-connected, Judge Crater was poised to be an influential figure in New York for years. Despite his high profile and decades of sleuthing, there's still almost nothing outside of pure speculation surrounding the fate of, quote, the most missingest man in America. Meaning, whatever happened to Judge Joseph Force Crater that
His middle name is Force? That's weird.
early August remains unsolved.
Also, I gotta mute Discord.
It could have been any one of these things because he himself put him in the situation where any number of these things.
I still think it could have been like a
possible.
hit
As I've said before,
behind the
if you want to
body.
dance with the devil, you got to live with
Like
it when he
car
sets you on
accident.
fire. And that's just basics of deviling right there.
Yeah, I always thought that could have been delivered cleaner, but I don't know how.
I think Good Time Joe got murdered. That's what I think.
I think it's
Well,
more
I
like
guess we'll never know
manslaughter.
what happened to that funny judge.
Yeah, yeah. Dismissed.
Well, what do you think happened to the judge? Any theory proposed, or do you think it was something else? I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.